What's up everybody, it's me back again for another video. We are here for a 5-card Friday, everybody's favorite day of the week. It's a good time, it's great. I already started shuffling the cards. Yeah, so let's just get into it. I've just been kind of shuffling them, and I think for this one, the number that popped into my head is 25, but you can't do 25 times 5 in the tarot deck unless you start cycling through, which I didn't really want to do, but then I realized that 5 times 5 is 25 and we're pulling 5 cards, so I'm going to skip every 5th card in the deck, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's the card, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's the card, and that's just kind of how I'm going to shuffle for this one, and we're going to go from there. So yeah, 5 cards, been shuffling, let's get started. So we have 1, 2, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, alright, so we got our 5 cards. I haven't flipped them over yet. I just wanted to pull them. How do I want to do this? Do I want to flip them all over at once? I'm kind of getting this feeling that I want to flip over 3 at one. We've been getting a lot. I usually get them in clumps, and I think they have to do with distinct messages. So I'm getting the sense that I want to pull the 3 cards on top first, and then 4 and 5 next. So yeah, we're gonna start with that. Okay, let's looking at the first 3 cards. So what we have the Moon card. Love this card. If it will autofocus. It really does not like focusing. There we go. The Moon. If you guys have been paying attention, I have the Moon card hanging right up there. It's not the exact same design, but it is a Moon card. I have the Moon, the Sun, and the Star card all hanging behind me. So yeah, that's what those are, in case you haven't noticed. I'm assuming you have, but in case you're just listening, then like, there you go. So we have the Moon card first, then we have the 3 of Cups. I like this card. I always get very good, like, it's just kind of like a clear, simple, positive vibe kind of card, you know? I normally don't get anything too, like, hazy. It's usually just, like, good, it's like a thumbs up, you know? It's like the thumbs up of the tarot. Right, and then we have the 3 of Wands. Okay. So of course, the kind of obvious thing to note, like as we go forward with this, is we have 2 3s. Like the 2 different 3 cards, we have the Water 3 and the Fire 3, which is interesting because those are kind of opposite. And you can notice that in the 3 of Cups, it's 3 people coming together. Meanwhile, in the 3 of Wands, it's this kind of like one person looking out onto like this vast expanse of emptiness. So I'm getting this really interesting sense of imbalance between you and your community and the people in your life. It could be family, it could be friends, but I've noticed there's this kind of tension there because you're dealing with these extreme energies pulling apart, whereas like the 3 of Cups is normal. Again, it's like this kind of like thumbs up, great card, like yay, like good things are coming. Of course I said I always get this like simple vibe from this card, and I always do, but then once you start pulling other cards around it and they start playing into the energies of it, it obviously gets so much more complicated very quickly. So yeah, I'm getting, again, there's like this thumbs up having to do with great energy, great community, like it's interesting, like it's very social, like they're drinking, it's great, you can assume maybe there's water, but it's probably not water in these cups, but yeah, they're just having a great time. But then this one, it's very introspective. It has to do with like following your heart. You're looking out onto the horizon, you're seeing where you want to go next, you're building the foundations of the passions you have, and you're kind of asking yourself, where is this leading, what is this going to? So I'm getting the sense that what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to merge these 2 together. I know in the last reading we talked about the High Priestess card. We're coming up on Beltane, which is a very like spiritual, like lifting the veil. If you guys are into that kind of stuff, I know a lot of people who are into tarot are into that, but a lot of people who are into tarot aren't into that, but yeah, this is a really like rich time of year, and if you're in the southern hemisphere, you're coming up on Samhain, so obviously I don't need to explain to you guys why Halloween is a very like spiritual time of the year, but Beltane for the northern hemisphere is also that. It's just the opposite. It's in spring, things are coming to life as opposed to like falling away. Um, hmm, how are we tying this in together with the moon card? Um, so yeah, there's definitely that imbalance in your community, and I'm seeing the one of the interesting things that I'm catching about the moon card is the animals. If you take a look at that, we're gonna take a little closer look. I've always appreciated it's like I'm not exactly sure I don't know if those two four-legged animals are the same. They don't quite look like it. One of them looks like a dog, and then the more yellow one looks to me like it's more of like a fox or like a coyote, and then there's a little lobster here. So again, we have that three here, so we're getting threes throughout the card, and there's that kind of disjointed energy. So I'm really getting the sense that you're going to be called to look at your community, and you're going to be called to look at your social pairings, and there might be some tension, maybe even with like your career again, like this fire, this like passion that things you want, what you want to pursue. Maybe not just career, but just kind of things in general. Like it could be hobby. It doesn't. I say career, and I think of like things you enjoy doing, but that's not necessarily the thing that you're doing that's making you money. It could be a class you're taking. It could just be like a lesson you go to once or twice a week. But yeah, I'm noticing that there might be some interesting tension there in the moon. I feel like it's been maybe boil the moon. I'm trying to like I put them together. For those of you guys who know that I pull a lot of the cards out, and oftentimes I don't put them in a specific set. I just pull them all out, and then I kind of like shuffle the positions they're around to see if I can get kind of like this clearer image. And a lot of times when I get like a major arcana and then two minor arcanas, or two cards that are similar and one that's different, I'll put the different one in the middle to see like how I'm feeling about the ways in which they're balanced, and what that separate card can tell us about the two cards that are similar. Because I notice a lot of times that's kind of like the overarching theme. So I'm looking at a way in which we can look at the moon. This is representing like kind of like our psychic self, our deep inner self, the spiritual. It's like the nighttime, like again, it's this very spiritual time of year, so I feel like we're being called back to that. That's gonna be some answers in your community, or maybe this is a possibility. Maybe you're dealing with this kind of like frantic spiritual energy of like things like you're getting there's bad vibes around. Maybe I'm getting your kind of bad vibes around, and that's creating this tension in your community. Maybe you live in a house and it's a really old house and you're noticing some restless energies that are not normally there, but they're kind of coming together with this kind of this time of year. I'm getting the call that one thing you might want to do if you're dealing with this trouble, this trouble. I'm like mixing my words together. I'm really having to like dig for this message. It's the moon. It's very deep in there. The moon doesn't always want you to be seen. This isn't always a message that's just gonna like come through for you. It's kind of the opposite of the Three of Cups. That's this very like thumbs up, here it is. It's the moon. You have to dig through it. There's fog. You have to want it. It's never exactly what you think about it. I mean, the light from the moon isn't like the moon's light. It's reflecting off of the sun, so you're getting kind of this weird, almost like a mirror of the sun's light. So my suggestion to you, if you're dealing with these kind of like harsh, troublesome energies coming up, I'm getting a little like almost like haunting kind of energy, whether or not that's what you would want to call it, or just kind of like the bad vibes coming up this time of year. Aside from just doing a basic cleansing of your space, one of the things I'm noting that you should do is clean your mirrors. Sometimes that can be kind of something that we don't really think about doing, but it can really help the energy, especially at this time of year. If you're afraid of things like coming through, that's a good way to do it. Get a little what's something, maybe like rosemary, just kind of like freshen it up, just like spray it with some like rosemary water. I don't know that you necessarily want to put salt on your mirrors. I don't know that for a fact. That might kind of cake up around the mirror. I'm not exactly sure, but I think if you just put some nice like rosemary water, that would really just kind of like help that. Or maybe if you're like really having an issue, maybe you might want to cover your mirrors for like the next week if you're just really noticing an issue with that. It could be sometimes things are trying to come through and we don't want them to. So yeah, that's kind of I don't know. Ooh, there could be something you could be poking around somewhere in there because it's the moon card. It's deep in there. This could be something that does not want you to see it. So take your precautions because I'm noticing it's causing trouble within the group. You know, I think it's gonna like in your family maybe. So be careful with that because it looks like there's something. Again, it's gonna pass. It's Beltane. There's it's just the time of the year. Sometimes you're going to deal with these kind of like things that you don't want to be dealing with, especially if you're living in like an older house or there's like a lot of history in your area. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna that's what I'm gonna leave you guys with that. Maybe don't go poking around too hard in it, but just put up some protections and do some light cleansing. I mean, if you want to poke around, you can, because I mean, sometimes you're looking to get into a little bit of trouble. But I'm getting the sense that if you're looking for a little bit of trouble this time of year specifically right now, like specifically this Beltane, you might find it. So I'm just putting that out there. You don't always know what you're opening the door to. All right, next two cards. All right, we have two Cups cards. We have the Ace of Cups. Beep, beep, beep. Then we have the Five of Cups. Interesting, interesting. Tell me a little bit about this. Alright, so I'm getting a really interesting dichotomy. Again, we were looking at kind of the triads, or it was kind of the dichotomy before of like the two sides, like of the moon. There's like this light and the dark, and there's the imbalance between them. But then the moon is also kind of representative of like the mirror. That's where I was going with the last one. For this, I'm getting kind of a extension of that. You're getting these are like the outcome cards. You're getting the outcome for the scenario in which I tell you, hey, put up your light protections, or just like keep your head down, keep calm about it, versus like kind of poking around in things. So for those of you who do your light protections, like cover your mirrors if you feel the need to. You'll know if you need to if you're starting to deal with really big issues. If you just kind of do that basic stuff, I'm noticing some really good like it's the Ace of Cups. It's quickly your cup becomes filled back up, especially dealing with that like community. You quickly notice this balance. Things start flowing again. That negativity, that imbalance kind of goes away, and your cup is running over again. You're happy. You're feeling more emotional satisfaction, and especially having to do with the connection between yourself and other people. You're just gonna have a lot of like replenishment from that if you just go about that basic thing. And then you have the white bird here. I believe, is that a dove? I believe it's a dove. So it's this symbol of peace. It's purity. It's refreshing. This is a very refreshing card to look at. Again, if you were listening to the previous readings of this week, I can't remember if it was the Monday or the Wednesday one, where I talk about going towards water. I really get this sense again that water is going to cleanse you. So maybe go towards some running water if you can, especially if you're noticing these bad vibes are kind of sticking to you and not just like the house that you're in. This is a much spookier reading than normally I get. Normally I don't get so called into like spirit stuff. Normally it's just kind of basic energy, but I guess, I mean, it's that time of year, so like what are you going to do about it? But, and again, so that's kind of the positive of this. Like it's almost like a reprise of the Monday reading, talking about like, oh yeah, like you just kind of get this basic, like something hits you and then you get back up and everything's fine. So I'm getting that. It's like if you do what you're supposed to do, you can just get back up and everything's fine. Meanwhile, with the Five of Cups, I know there's a lot of different, I mean, for every card there's kind of different interpretations, but a lot of them come off the same meaning, and a lot of people will talk about the Five of Cups and the fives in all the suits. A lot of times have to deal with kind of this like setback energy, or just kind of like an obstacle, something like kind of negative, but it's not the end of the world. And this one has to do sometimes with perspective, where you see him looking, he has 5 cups and 3 of them are spilled, and he's focusing on the spilled ones as opposed to the ones that are standing upright. It has to do with perspective. It's something bad emotionally happened and you're focused on that, maybe not focusing on the positive. That's one very popular interpretation for this card. But for this card specifically, I'm very focused on the like tall black, like almost like death-like looking figure. I'm really getting it. The word that's coming to mind. Hold on. Focus. Yes. I just want you to take that in for a second. Also, notice how the bridge behind him kind of looks like a skull, just like the top of the skull. I've never really noticed that before, but that's kind of what it does. Like the two arches under the bridge kind of look like the eyes of a giant skull as the water's running into them or running through them or whatever. But the word I'm getting for this card is dread. So I think, again, I had talked about earlier that if you start poking around for things that you're not really sure about, you'll find something. So I'm getting this really, I'm getting the sense that there's something very specific that's there. Something's passing through, something is showing up. It's not just this kind of like nebulous woo bad energy. There's something there, and if you're trying to poke at it in contact, you will piss off something very specific. And it's a pain when it's specific, because then you can't always just resort on a negative, like a cleansing of the negative energy. You have to banish something specific, which is difficult when you don't know what that is, and we're dealing with the Moon card, so I have a feeling that it's going to be incredibly frustrating to pin down what this is. So again, I'm cautioning you to take these protections seriously, and maybe even err on the side of caution where you don't feel like you need to cover your mirrors, but you just do it. Especially in like bedrooms where you're sleeping, that can be a really don't have mirrors in your bedrooms, people. There's like a hot tip for you. Yeah, I'm getting like itchy. I'm getting clogged up. It's very like this always happens as things are getting like. I've talked about this previously. I can't remember what reading that was in, but it's like I don't itch my face all day and I don't get congested or like have a cough or anything, but then I start giving these spiritual readings, and I'm noticing all these like things coming out, all these energies. So yeah, something is passing through, and if you poke at it, it's going to be very upset about it, and I'm getting this really overwhelming sense of like dread coming from you. So again, I think my final caution to you, I know I'm just kind of rambling at this point, is to not poke at it. Or if you are, I don't even want to suggest, not give you the option, because I mean, obviously you can do whatever you want. But I don't want to posit the idea of trying to contact whatever this is, because I think you could find insight from it, but I'm getting the sense that it would be not worth it. There are some stones that are better left unturned. Curiosity killed the cat, and all of those platitudes. This might be one to sit out. If you're really eager to contact things, then I would wait until this specific energy passes. You can still contact some really powerful, really interesting entities, but I think the energy is just a little too chaotic that you can't do it in a controlled setting. It's the difference between going and seeing a lion at the zoo or stumbling through the forest with like a ribeye taped to your back. You don't want to be doing that because you are not in control of the outcome. And if you're stumbling through the dark and all of a sudden you realize you've fallen into a lion's den and you don't have anything to protect yourself and you are entirely unprepared, that is going to be bad for you. So I'm getting the sense that if you go poking around for this right now, you are going to be in its territory, and it is not going to be particularly easy for you to protect yourself. So I would just kind of wait it out, maybe even leave an offering out. I don't know, but it's whatever you feel like you need to be doing. But yeah, that's it for this reading. Getting real close to Beltane. I'm not totally sure I'm going to have a Monday reading or not. Again, like I said, I'm going out of town, so it just kind of depends. But if I don't, I will see you guys for the Wednesday reading. But yeah, just take care of yourself. Enjoy Beltane while you can. If you have any festivities planned, let me know what you guys do. I'm always looking for ideas about what to do for that. But yeah, that's it for this reading. A little bit spookier than usual. I have the candlelight, I have the red light, so we're really getting into the vibe of the season. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great Beltane. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's reading. Plural. I hope you enjoyed this 5-card Friday. I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.